Teenagers are known to do reckless things often, but sometimes they go overboard and lead to brutal things that shock society. Let's see how these guilty teens react to an unexpected life sentence. ROKSANA SIKORSKI. A 4'8", 95-pound defendant sat in tears, handcuffed and dressed in an orange jumpsuit, on a chair in the center of the courtroom with her back to her mother, who was one of 4 victims ROKSANA SIKORSKI and her adult boyfriend had planned to meet in Plymouth in October 2014. She was just 15 when she killed her family in the townhouse, at an age when most children think about finishing high school and going to college. The next 10 to 20 years of ROKSANA SIKORSKI's life can only look forward to prison. And her former classmates from Plymouth Canton School District are enjoying spring break this week. The white-faced teenager sat shivering in a chair in the middle of the Wayne County Courthouse on Monday, handcuffed and dressed in a tied orange jail jumpsuit, as the judge handed down his sentence. In October 2014, SIKORSKI was just 15 when she planned to have her family killed by an adult boyfriend in their Plymouth Township home. And the district attorney uncovered a truly gruesome plan. She smuggled a fish fillet knife into her 12-year-old brother's bedroom, put her hand over his mouth and held the knife to his throat. When she answered, the knife cut deeply into her flesh. The boy screamed, startling the rest of the family. SIKORSKI dropped the knife and fled outside, where her then 23-year-old boyfriend, who police said had sent her instructions on how to carry out the murder, was waiting. They were quickly arrested. Although Lauren and Jeff SIKORSKI were the targets of the plot, they supported their daughter from the start, even hiring an attorney to represent her. They say the 4'8", 95-pound teenager who suffers from depression was manipulated by her boyfriend. Pauline was jailed for playing with teenagers by Plymouth parents. SIKORSKI's parents adopted her from Poland more than a decade ago as 2 siblings after the children were abused. They say her 24-year-old partner Michael Rivera coerced her into the plot, and they blame law enforcement for not arresting them sooner after he had an illicit relationship with her. She desperately needs continued psychological help. Lorraine SIKORSKI blocked the court ahead of Monday's sentencing. She is still vulnerable, and an adult prison would shatter her fragile world. How could his sentence as an adult help her be this justice? ROKSANA SIKORSKI pleaded guilty on February 22 to 1 count of assault with intent to murder in exchange for the dropping of 6 other counts. Rivera is serving a life sentence after being convicted by a jury on all 7 counts. ROKSANA SIKORSKI tearfully apologized to her family on Monday for not being the girl they wanted. Circuit Court Judge James Callahan said it was a young person being manipulated by an older person who hurt her in an inappropriate way. She may have changed her mind in light of the findings, he said, because her brother's injuries appear to have resulted in more from his initial actions than from cutting him. It's an unfortunate situation, said Callahan, who was serving a 10-20-year prison sentence. Meanwhile, the parents continue to raise 2 young siblings, hoping to provide them with a bright future. Jeff SIKORSKI said, "I will never really trust the justice system to protect my family again." Shondell Jackson. The reaction to Shondell Jackson's sentencing case has been outrageous. Jackson was convicted of first-degree manslaughter and robbery against Nathan Porter, a 21-year-old student at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. Jackson and 20-year-old Derek Thomas attempted to kill Robert Porter, who was returning home, and shot him dead. Porter brought no money. Jackson showed no remorse or grief during the victim's death or the trial for the crime, even smiling at the victim's family at one point while they were escorted out of court. After being sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, Jackson insulted the judge. As noted by reporters, the police in court acted quickly as expected, and they did so because of the actions of the convicted murderer. During the trial, he had to be detained by police officers who used pepper spray. As his reaction was violent, Jackson's family behind the courtroom began to abuse Porter's mother. Although, the case of Shondell Jackson is not only a perfect example of a minor coming from an environment that lacked educational support and opportunities, but also a perfect example of a young minor receiving the harshest sentence for a white crime occupied by blacks. If the victim was black, what losses deserve life imprisonment? Would he have received the same sentence if he was white and his victim was black? Where would he be prosecuted in this case? Jennifer Mee. Prosecutors play prison visitor in the murder trial of Jennifer Mee, known as the Hiccup Girl, who tells her mother she didn't kill anyone but has everything designed. Jennifer Mee, 22, who shot to fame at the age of 15 for hiccuping straight for 5 weeks, was charged with first-degree murder in the 2010 death of Shannon Griffin. The defendant said that his client had not planned the theft and that there was insufficient evidence to convict her. The prosecutor said, "I had arranged everything and used the police interview, then recorded a phone call from the prison between me and her mother as evidence." During the call, she told her mother that she had not pulled the trigger on the gun that killed Griffin, but had been charged with murder. In 2010, Miss Griffin met him and lured him to a home in St. Petersburg, Florida, to rob, prosecutors said. Griffin struggled with 2 accomplices, who then shot him 4 times in the chest, prosecutors say. The question is whether she orchestrated the robbery that ended in Griffin's death. Police previously said they did not believe Mee pulled the trigger. But under Florida law, she was charged with first-degree murder for her involvement in the robbery that resulted in murders. Although Jennifer pleaded not guilty, prosecutors previously rejected a 15-year prison plea deal offered by her lawyers. Jennifer Mee's attorney told the court that her client had schizophrenia, and the judge then ordered Mee to undergo a psychological evaluation. It was later determined that I was capable of standing trial. Experts also testified that Mee's DNA was found on the victim's shirt. Although the defense argued that it may have been transferred to the shirt by another person, which experts in DNA from the crime lab agreed. Jennifer broke down in tears outside the Clearwater court as the verdict was read. Minutes later, Judge Nancy Motelli explained that the only possible sentence for the charge was life in prison without the possibility of parole.